Hey clarinet fans, Kathy Williams-Devries presenting to you a new series on scales. I have been producing a series on an introduction to the scales, but it's been mainly targeted at intermediate to advanced players. So what I'm going to do is I teach for Trinity College London exams, and I will be presenting one for each of the grades. I have previously done grade 5 because a student of mine did grade 5 scales last year for their Trinity College exam. So I'm going to start with grade 1, Trinity College. Now there's only a couple of scales because at this stage in grade 1 we're not going over the break. So the scales that we're going to be looking at are below the break and not more than one sharp or flat. So the scales in grade 1 Trinity College London are your F major scale and F major arpeggio 1 octave, your G major scale and G major arpeggio 1 octave. Now for jazz clarinet you've also got the G major 7th arpeggio and the Dorian scale on G, as well as the G minor 7th arpeggio. That's not required for the general exam, just jazz clarinet. But ordinary clarinet also has the A harmonic scale, A melodic minor scale, and A natural minor scale, which is actually the Aeolian mode, plus the A minor arpeggio. So let's have a look at F major scale. Now you're only required to do it at crotchet equals 72. So that's crotchet equals 72, but we'll take it a little bit slower. Now you are required for Trinity College exams to do it either all slurred or all tongued. I prefer to do my scales all slurred so that you get a beautiful tone, and then later on we can introduce articulation, bearing in mind that we want a tongued note to sound just as beautiful as a slurred note. So F major scale is probably the most natural scale to the clarinet, because all one is required to do is just take fingers off. So we start on the low F. That's the easiest of the scales. So at speed, that is the fastest you would ever be required to go. I'm going to leave the arpeggios for just a second. We'll do them last, although an arpeggio is basically taking the first, third, fifth and eighth note of the scale. So you miss every second note apart from the octave. But the next scale is G major, also quite natural to the clarinet, except that instead of a B flat we have a B natural and we have an F sharp. Please don't infuriate your teachers by trying to play a B natural and an F sharp in an F major scale. It drives them nuts. Same with G major, don't infuriate them with a B flat. So a G major scale and at speed so that's pretty straightforward. Now we come to A minor. Now if you remember your theory, a minor is actually the third below the major, the relative major. So in this case A minor is the minor scale of the relative major C major, which has no sharps or flats. But in the harmonic minor, we sharpen the 7th note of the scale, and that goes both up and down. Whereas in the melodic, you sharpen the 6th and 7th notes of the scale, and then their naturals on the way down. And we also have the natural minor scale, which has no sharps or flats or anything. So, if you have a look at a harmonic minor, we're sharpening the 7th note of the scale, which is a G sharp. So, notice that it's a G sharp on the way up and the way down. Now we look at the melodic minor scale, which has an F sharp and a G sharp on the way up, because we're sharpening 6th and 7th, and then naturalised on the way down. So you're basically going down the relative major scale. So, of course, we have the A natural minor scale, no sharps or flats up or down. So those are the scales. Now, I'll leave jazz clarinet until the last bit of the videos. But once we've done the scales, we then do the arpeggios, which are the 1st, 3rd, 5th and 8th note of the scale. So F major is nice and easy. But you want to make sure that you get a really smooth connection between the C and the F, because we are raising 3 fingers rather than the couple of fingers required for the rest of it. So, you're moving 3 fingers at once. So you might want to just practice that bit of the arpeggio before putting it together. So that is F major arpeggio. We now have G major arpeggio. And you want to really smoothly coordinate between the G and the B, and then the D to the B. Now I know you're only using 2 fingers, but if they're not in perfect sync, you get, which you don't want, you want. So you might want to practice between the B and the D, and then between the D and the G. Just thank you lucky stars that you don't have to do scales in thirds just yet. Okay, we've done F major and G major. We now have the A minor arpeggio. Again, you may want to practice between the E and the A. Make sure that you do take off the thumb finger for the A, otherwise it doesn't sound right. And you may want to practice between the E and the A. Now let's look at a couple of the scales that are included for jazz clarinet. And in jazz clarinet you're required to do the Dorian scale on G. Now the Dorian scale starts on a D. But in this case we're starting on a G, so it's transposed down. You've got a B flat and nothing else. So that's your Dorian scale on G. You've then got a G minor 7th arpeggio and a G major 7th arpeggio. The G minor 7th arpeggio whereas the G major 7th so the G minor 7th has the minor 7th, which is the G to the F, whereas the major 7th has the G to the F sharp. So those are your grade 1 Trinity College scales. Once you've mastered those, please move into my next video, which will be Trinity College grade 2.